Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm happy and excited already. I'm seeing people in the studio, people joining us from different places. I'm your coach, Collins Bolo. Welcome. This is Rebuilding Family Foundation coming all the way from Kenya, Mombasa, so that we can be able to learn and add knowledge to ourselves in one way or the other. If you can get me, you can get my transmission. Kindly send this link to someone, share it with someone so that today we can get to learn something good, something great, and we can add value to ourselves in one way or the other. This Rebuilding Family Foundation, which comes every Friday from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Good, nice, and excellent. Kindly also today I'd like to encourage you to subscribe to our channel from any part of the country you are in, so that every time we run live, you can be able to get our signal, even as we get to learn more and more. What we have today, what good thing do we have today? What do we need to learn and hear today, which will make our lives to become better? Kindly relax, invite someone, call someone, even as we kick off and we pick from where we left in our last episode with Rebuilding Family Foundation. As we're intending to pick at this particular point and move on, I just like to remind all of us that each and every week we have different kind of programs running. Um, we have Moment with Christ, which comes every Wednesday from 8 to 9. We have Marketplace Venture, which comes every Thursday from 8 to 9. And we have Rebuilding Family Foundation, which comes every Friday from 9 to 10. Not forgetting every Tuesday from 8 to 9. Also, we have My Health, My Wealth. All this is coming so that we can be able to add value to ourselves, so that we can grow and we can build ourselves to become better people in one way or the other. Kindly invite someone, call someone, subscribe to our channel, even as we are picking and even moving and progressing ourselves and information for ourselves in one way or the other. Okay, welcome back. This is Rebuilding Family Foundation. Today, we are moving on with where we left last time. For those who have been working with us and each and every step, we have been addressing different issues to do with family matters. There's a time we started addressing some of the stupid things and decisions which couple make. It was really interesting as we had many people coming on board and even learning from it. And then after that, we decided to start learning about best decisions couples can make. And since we started doing that, we have a group of people who have been interested. I had to repeat it again, and there's more demand. Please tell us more about this subject matter. And today, I'm here for us to continue learning more. What are other best decisions which couples need to make? Why decision? Life is all about decision. Life is a fruit of decisions which we made yesterday, making us to be in the condition we are in today. And our tomorrow is determined by the decisions we make today. Now, because life is accumulation of decisions, then we need to understand that even how we relate today has a lot to do with how the decisions we make. Some years back, I was invited in one of the mainstream churches to speak to the divorced, separated widows and widowers. As I was addressing this forum, which had many people around, more than 250 people, doing training one thing after the other, a time came when I gave them opportunity to share some of the challenges they had in their lives. I remember one mama stood up, madam stood up and talked about how she suffered a lot in the hands of his husband, was very abusive. Another one talked about how her husband used to be extremely irresponsible as far as domestic matters are concerned. Another one gave her a ordeal on how his own husband and dressed her in front of our own children. Many gave their story. It was so sad. And after that, I went on with training them and teaching about different concepts of relationship. When the training was over, I asked this group of women this simple question. If today you would meet a young lady who intends to marry, what advice will you give them from the experiences you had? This woman who had been butchered and so much traumatized by her husband in the past stood up and said, "It is better to live with an abusive man than to live without a husband." And I was shocked. And all the other women were clapping their hands about it, and it got me confused. Then the other one, who was undressed with the husband in front of his own children, stood up and said, "It is better to live in crisis in marriage than to live without your husband." Then the other women clapped their hands, and it confused me even more. So I had to ask them, "So, why have you come up with that conclusion?" And this is what they said. "What we have learned today, if we could have known in the past and applied, we could still be living in our marriages." Two, we have right now where we are, we know the roles we played toward crisis in our marriage. And there's no need to blame others for the choices which we made, which were not right, which led to crisis. And the third reason they gave is this: to be a single mother or a divorced woman in our community, you become suspicious to all groups of people. Whether you're in the church or out of the church, you're always a suspect and a danger to other people's marriage. It's one of the emotional state which it's not the best. And they appreciated the knowledge which they had accumulated more in life after separation and divorce. And they said, getting to separation and divorce is not one of the best things which can happen. But all these things was because of decisions which both the man and the woman made, leading them to that state or that condition. However, as much as wrong decisions can be made, also people can choose to make right decisions. What are some of the best decisions which couples can make? And it can help them to enjoy marriage and family life. As you're moving on, please welcome, invite your friend. If you are watching me and you can hear me, just tell me where you're watching me from. And I really appreciate very much. I can get the first person on board, Wahome Gitonga from Twapa, saying, "I am tuned in." Thank you, Wahome. I'm very happy for you joining this program. I missed you in 2 other programs in the past. I understand your phone had a problem, but welcome back as we learn best decisions we can make as couples in this life. As I usually say, my teacher in marriage and family once described marriage as a deliberate step to take a risk to live with a stranger with hope of a good future. I'll repeat again. He said that marriage is a deliberate step to take a risk to live with a stranger with hope of a good future. Because a deliberate step, then it means decisions are being made from the word go. And when I talk about marriage, I'm talking about marriage entry point, either religious entry point, civil entry point, or traditional entry point. Cohabitation is not the same as marriage. So when I'm talking about best decision couples can make, I'm not talking about cohabiting partners. I'm talking about a husband and a wife who is in an institution of marriage with entry point either traditional, civil, or religious. Now, these concepts I'm going to talk about will have more value and relevance to them than cohabiting partners who are mature people behaving like married people, but there's no commitment for marriage. What they need is to get to the right entry point so they can have a right definition of the kind of relationship they have in one way or the other. So, what are the best decisions couples need to make? What is your mind? What's running in your mind, which I'm going to add today in this episode? Send to me what you're thinking as I'm going to start sharing what I have for you this day. Okay, let's see. We have talked about 5 decisions which couples can make, and today I want us to go to the 6th best decision a couple can make. So, what is the 6th best decision which couples can make so that their marriage and their relationships can be good, improve, and also increase? The 6th best decision couples can make is decide to keep the sex extremely good. I repeat again, decide to keep the sex extremely good. Now, one of the blessings which God has given us as human beings is the fact that we can enjoy sex more than all other kind of animals and insects. And God ordained in marriage that sex should be established and sex to be good, nice, and excellent. But do you know something? Good sex demands and requires decision of both partners so that by the end of the day, they can be able to enjoy the beauty of sex. Unfortunately, today, one of the things which is making most of the marriages to get into crisis because sex is being taken extremely casual. And the beauty and the sweetness of sex is not experienced among many couples. Majority of them, the beginning was good, exciting, and nice. But today, after 2 years in marriage, after 5 years in marriage, after 10 years in marriage, after 15 years in marriage, after 20 years in marriage, sex has become extremely boring. I repeat, boring. And the moment it gets to become boring, then it can lead to many other more challenges. Why? Because sex has been established so that it can help in creating bond between the couples. Sex also can help when crises and differences have come and they say tension. It can play a very key role in relieving people in tension. Again, apart from that, God established sex as one of the second most sweetest thing, which you call as sweet as the taste of the heavenly bliss. I can hear some of you saying like, "Wacha wewe, wacha." It is true. That's how it's supposed to be. But the problem is today in our society, our young boys and young girls are not being taught the art of sex. In an African context in the past, we had society and tribes whereby before the young boy and the young girl got into marriage, he was taught the art of sex so that once he gets into marriage, he can perform very well. If we get to the book, like the holy book, the Bible, we have a whole book like the Songs of Solomon, which talks about love, sex, and romance. Not only that, even positions for sex. Now, if God, in one of his own book, in the scripture, where his name is not mentioned at all, but he has addressed the whole story about love, romance, and sex, then it means sex must be something good, nice, and excellent. Now, you have to make a decision that your sex life will not become boring. And for it not to become boring, then each partner has a decision to make so that it can be nice, good, and excellent. Now, what decision does a man have? What decision does a woman have? Now, men ought to understand that for them to have great, nice, excellent sex with their wives, they have to give room for the wife to get on the highest point before they get to the highest point, the peak. That one means good skills as far as foreplay is concerned, good skills as far as preparing your woman is concerned, and good skills as far as playing the game is concerned. Today, most of our women are complaining about their men, whom within microsecond or half a minute, they are done and dead. It happens. And many are complaining. I went to one community and I was talking about marriage and relationship. And in this community, they're telling me that our men have become useless as far as sex relationship is concerned. They no longer perform at all. So men, you have a decision. What kind of results do you need for each and every time you have sex with your wife? You must make decision from the word go. How do you prepare her? How do you play the game? What kind of food you eat? It plays a very key role. What kind of drugs and substances are you using, which is making your potential of having sex become null and void? In case you're diabetic and you have high blood pressure and it has affected your erection, what do you need to know which can help to facilitate the health of your sexual life? That's in the same way to women. You need to make sex exciting and good. I remember one of our classes as we were teaching a group of former sex workers, and one of the things they said is that for them to win men for sex, they do to these men what they know their wives are lazy in doing. They give different styles. They massage them. They talk well. They don't discuss money and other issues, which actually diffuse the momentum in one way or the other. Not only that, they give different kind of exciting styles than one which is being used all the time. From homes you go, every night, one style, Kifo Chamende. Kifo Chamende every time, or probably missionary style every night. Yet you're not called to become a missionary. Now, you must decide, that's what you're saying, you must decide to keep sex extremely good. And that decision is for both men and women. Be charming, don't be too serious. Don't shut down the lights. Some of you just shut down the lights during the time for having sex. Nazima, then here comes the man, he switches off the light, then he crawls on the bed like a crocodile. My friend, we must decide to make sex extremely exciting for us to enjoy the moment. This is also a gift from God. If what I'm saying is having a lot of value and it's making sense, kindly just type something and send to me. If what I'm talking about is making sense, just send something. Let me know if you can get me, if you can understand me very well at this particular point and time. Anthony, for okay. Someone says that yes, good sex, it keeps off. Oh, someone is respect, keep off family members if you want to enjoy your moment. That's good. Yeah, sometimes if other family members become extremely too close to the point where they interfere with your relationship, actually, it really affects in one way or the other. Yes, decision number 6, as we have agreed, you must do something nice and something good. Make sex extremely good. For more information about issues of sex, one of the seminars we'll be organizing about sexual matters. Once we'll be announcing in this forum, kindly don't miss it. Number 7, what is the next decision which as couples you need to learn to make your marriage and life exciting? Decide to discover your spouse's life motivation. Decide to discover your spouse's life motivation. Now, why is it important to decide to discover your spouse's life motivation? Now, in life, there are different things which motivates us at different time based on our personality, our background, our interests, where we are in our journey of life and such kind of things. Now, because good marriage and relationship is work, one of the work which each and every partner ought to know at different stages what motivates and excites my husband or my wife. Not what excites someone else, husband or wife. No, you as a person. What motivates you as a husband? What motivates you as a wife? Do you share what motivates you? Now, different stage in life, there are different things which motivates us. Now, what motivated you at this when you are dating, and what was motivating you when you are courting, when you just got married, when you got the first child, and now you have 5 of them, and you have stopped production of children, will change at different interval of time. Now, the biggest task which you have as a husband and as a wife is to understand, to decide, to investigate, inquire, and talk and discuss about what motivates your spouse. Remember, as I told you last time, in marriage, 1% is food and sex, 99% is what you think about your spouse. Now, in part of the 99% of what you think about your spouse, you need to inquire and investigate at every given time. What motivates my wife? What motivates my husband? Once you get to know what motivates them, what can I do to inspire and motivate my husband and my wife as far as this issue is concerned? It may be something to do with the meals, it may be something to do with the career, it might be something to do with probably sports, it might be something to do with the planning, different things. Just discuss, share. That's true love. Why? Because most of the time, people don't care about each other, people don't care about the interests of one another, and when these things happen, it starts choking our relationship. You have a task, and what is your task? Simple. Decide to discover. I repeat, decide to discover your spouse motivation. This is very good, very important, and also very healthy at the same time. Number 8, apart from discovering your spouse motivation, what else do you need to do? Decide to tackle transitions. Decide to tackle transitions. Now, transitions are very key and very important. And in life, at different stages, we'll be transiting. It can be part of human development stages as part of transition. It can be economical transition. It can be transition as one child comes in after the other. It can be a transition of all your children leaving your home because they have matured and now they are going to start their own life. It can be a transition because they're just joining school. They have just left class 8, they're joining Form 1. Life is full of transition. Now, the worst thing at this particular point is stagnation when transition ought to take place. Now, to avoid such kind of thing, you have to decide, where are we in our journey of life? What transition is taking place at this particular point? How can we tackle this transition? Like during COVID, cash flow was a big issue to majority of the people. Some could not afford paying rent where they were, and those they were comfortable about it. Transiting as a fallback plan was a great decision for most of the families. And families which decided to take a fallback plan, either getting to a cheaper house or relocating to a different place more favorable, they enjoyed more tranquility of peace than those who were stubborn at the expense of other people's opinion about their marriage and their family. As couples, you must learn to tackle transition. Transition might include probably one of the member of the family, your wife is getting to menopause, while at the same time you're getting to secondary adolescence. How can you balance the two? Transition might mean one of your son or daughter is getting married, and there'll be a gap and a space, a loss. What are you going to do about it? Now, because life is accumulation of transition each and every particular day, you need to build your life intelligence to go so high to the point of understanding the transition you are undergoing now as couples and as a family, so that you can come up with an action plan on what you can do during that time of transition, so that by the end of the day, you don't remain stranded. You don't remain confused. You don't remain like stagnant. Why? Because stagnation can be one of the greatest disasters when transition is taking place and a better action is required to be taken at that particular point in time. Why? Tackling transition should be a decision for both parties. Should be a transition for both parties. A good example, your husband has just been terminated from work, or his business has just gone down. You can no longer afford the rent. You can no longer afford paying high-end high school and primary school private institution. But still your children must continue to school. At this time, the worst decision which can happen is for each person to demand for his or her own way. Then you coming together and deciding, now that my business has collapsed, now that I've been terminated from work, and our children are in this school we are paying, I've been investing a lot of money, what can we do at this time to help our children to continue with education while we come up with a fallback plan? Now that you have been found out, it has been found out that you have cancer and you can no longer report to work. What can we do in this transition as far as your health is concerned? Now that our daughter has just become pregnant while in school, what can we do so that the transition of the occurrence within our home cannot lead to crisis and war between us as couples? Now that you have relocated to a new place, what can we do so that we can tackle the issue of our place of worship? Now, if both of you discuss as couples, there'll be more peace and tranquility than if one party demands against the other party for one reason or the other. Deciding to tackle transition is very key for success and peace in every couple's life. So what do we say? Decide to tackle transitions. Why? Because transitions are each and every day occurrence. What next best decision do we need to learn and know for our life? Decide to leave a legacy of love. Decide to leave a legacy of love. Now, why is it important to decide to leave a legacy of love? Why is this very important? Today, we are living at a moment whereby most of the people, if they have to leave a legacy, is leaving a legacy at their workplace. People to remember them because of how they were hardworking people, how they were committed to their boss, how they were committed to their company. But when it comes to leaving a legacy of love for your children and for your family, it doesn't exist. So when you die, people remember you of how you are a great farmer, how you are a great worker, how you are a great person in providing for the family, how you are so great in helping all other people. But as far as demonstrating love for your family, it is zero. Zero. Some years back, there's a pastor who died. And so many people came for his funeral because he had impacted the life of so many people. He educated so many children. He helped so many widows. He helped so many orphans. He helped guys to get jobs. And the place was flooded and flooded and flooded with multitude of people who came to celebrate him because of the legacy of support which he had demonstrated to the community. While one group after the other was coming and speaking about how great this man was, the wife and the children were like, are they talking about the same man we're living with him in the same house? The children like, are they talking about dad or they're talking about someone else? The wife was like, are they talking about my husband or they're talking about someone else? There's a conflict and crisis between the experience of the immediate family members against the experience of the community at large. Why? This guy had left a great legacy to the community, but a legacy of love for his family was zero. The family felt he didn't love them the right way. The family felt he was not there for them. the family felt it did not give them the support they needed. Now, that means for all the men who can hear me today, the best way to leave a legacy for your wife as couples is being available for her. Just be available for her. Give her room to speak some even nonsense when she feels it's the most important thing she needs to do when she's angry. Make her feel a queen at the same time. If you give her everything but you don't avail yourself for her, she'll feel widowed while she's still alive. On the same note, as a woman, the greatest legacy of love you can impart on your husband is giving him maximum respect. Even if everybody else do not respect him outside the home, but make sure from your side he feels in my house there's a woman who respects and values me. Very key and very important. Why? Men feel loved by their wives when they get respect. Respect him. Yes, he might be speaking broken English, but he's still your man. He might not be earning so much right now as it was before, but he's still your man. Give him the respect. Let your children experience love from both of you. Now, let me tell you something, parents who are listening to me. Children don't learn from what we tell them, they learn from what they see from us. As a man, if you demonstrate love for your wife, your children will also demonstrate love to their wives. As a woman, if you respect your man, your daughters will respect their husbands. That's a legacy of love. Demonstrate legacy of love to your children by how you talk and you address and you attend to your parents and your parents-in-law. If every time you're talking against your mother-in-law and your father-in-law, also when they get married, they'll do the same thing to you. They'll never respect you. Or they won't respect the family of the in-laws where they're going to be married. Being old is not a disease. It's just a phase in life. Let us demonstrate a legacy of love to our children by showing them how we love each other as spouse and how we love our parents, how we love our relatives, even in their predicament and in their shortcomings. Let us just show them love. It will pay off somewhere in future as far as their life is concerned. If what I'm talking about is making sense to you, just kindly post a comment. At the same time, subscribe to our channel, Rebuilding Family Foundation, so that every time we are back online, you can be able to learn more and add knowledge and value to yourself. I'd like to appreciate Eso Ndege, who says, God first, family automatically second. Great, it is true. If God becomes first, the family should be second. Legacy of love and direction for future. What do you think? What do you say? Kindly send a note to me if what I'm talking about is adding knowledge to you. And that's why Rebuilding Family Foundation comes in every Friday, so that we can add knowledge to ourselves. We can add wisdom to ourselves. Why? God's intention is that every marriage should be good, excellent, and nice. Sweet at the same time. Great. You know, it doesn't please God when people separate and divorce. It's not God's will at all. No wonder if you read the scripture, they're talking about marriage and family. The Bible is so silent about the issue of divorce. It mentions it very few times because God's intention is that people may not separate and divorce, but that they may enjoy this new covenant of life for the rest of their life. But for that to happen, we need to understand some of the laws of relationship which can help us to grow, develop, and become better people. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. It's Rebuilding Family Foundation Day. Learning about how we can have best decision. Why decision? Life is accumulation of decisions which make our today, our tomorrow as we decide. What's the next best decision you can make apart from deciding to leave a legacy of love? The next decision you can make is decide to connect with the author of life. Decide to connect with the author of life. Now, why is it important to decide to connect with the author of life? You see, men have been instructed by God that they may love their wives as Christ loved them. For Yahweh is the head over Christ, and Christ is the head over the husband, and every husband is the head over his own wife. There's a chain of hierarchy of system: God, Christ, the husband, the wife. It's very intentional. When Jesus was doing his ministry on earth, he used to say, whatever he does is only what he sees the Father doing. So he was actually duplicating what he sees the Father, Heavenly Father, doing to people on earth. And the same way the man-made is being told that when it comes to love, love your wife as Christ loved the church. How did he love the church? He gave himself and died for the church. Now, connecting to the author of life means that you're tapping the ability, divine ability, to make it on earth. Because one of the areas whereby Satan and sin fights against is marriage. That's why in the Garden of Eden, the first thing which Satan rose up to fight against was marriage between Adam and Eve. He knew that if these guys, I'll disconnect them to their creator, boom, I've won the game. I have won the game. And actually he succeeded. And were kicked out of the presence of God. And the misery of life until today still takes on. Now, connecting to the source and the author of life becomes important. Because it's hard for you as a man to love your wife as Christ loved the church if you're not connected to Christ. Why? You'll try to use your human form of love, the erotic, eros, romantic love, but there are times whereby your wife can hurt you so much to the point whereby even the love feeling you have for her just disappears. What will happen? What will happen in such a situation? Unless God's divine kind of love is in you as a man, it will become extremely hard to love your wife. Now, a woman who is connected to God and submissive to Christ, it becomes easy for her to be submissive to his own husband. The same time, or respective, the other word for the same. Now, connecting to the author of life becomes extremely important because it helps the woman at every given time to understand that my husband is not the perfect man on earth. He's still undergoing a process of perfection. Meanwhile, as I respect him and he loves me in a godly manner, we can grow to become the best people we can be. That's why connecting to the author of life becomes extremely important. Men, let me tell you something. It's not easy to love. Women, it's not easy to be submissive. But connecting to the author of life will make it to be extremely, very much possible. Now, this is what will make you not live in bitterness. This is what will make you to forgive. This is what will make you to be patient. This is what will make you even to accommodate each other. Why? Because what you'll be doing, you'll be releasing to your spouse what you have achieved from God. Because by our own human ability, we cannot do it. Two, this is because Satan is against marriage and family. Because of that, once God divine power comes into you, you'll be able to conquer Satan and all the schemes of Satan. Why? Because the source of life is your source of strength. The best decision we can make as couples here is to do something simple. Connect yourself to the author of life. That's very important, because the moment you're going to do that, you are going to secure your tomorrow, you are going to secure your future, you are going to secure your happiness, you are going to secure your joy, you are going to secure the life of the future of your children, you are going to secure peace in your family. And the secret is simple: connecting to the author of life. I hope this episode has really helped you in one way or the other. If you missed it, you can still go back to our YouTube channel. You can get the first session, and also you can get this session. Next week, we are going back to home domestic safety. God bless you. Subscribe again and again, and join us next week on Tuesday, My Health, My Wealth. And don't forget, on Wednesday, Moment with Christ. On Thursday, Marketplace Venture. And on Friday, Rebuilding Family Foundation. Good night. God bless you. I really appreciate you joining us today.